Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. And yes, I still have Christmas decorations up because why not? It's a pandemic. My name is Karen Bodenschatz, and I serve as Associate Pastor at First Lutheran Church in Onalaska, Wisconsin. And this is my morning musing. So we are on day 16 of our 21-day challenge for racial equity. And I hope that you have availed yourself of this resource and have entered into this challenge with a heart that's curious about what you can learn. Today, the challenge is to watch a TED Talk. It's a short TED Talk. It was like, I think 16 minutes, maybe 11, somewhere in between there. It's about how to deconstruct racism one headline at a time. I can't speak this morning. Here, let me drink some more coffee. Let's try that again. How to Deconstruct Racism One Headline at a Time by Baratunde Thurston. I found this short TED Talk funny, thought-provoking, challenging, profound. And so there's about 250 things going through my head, but I'm going to share the one that just seems to be settling in as I thought about what Mr. Thurston had said. One of the things that he does so well is point out what it's like to be a Black man in this world and how we can begin to see some of that, and he uses headlines to do that. But one of the things that he talked about, what it's like to live as a person of color, is that people see them as a threat, see people of color as a threat, and therefore that can threaten their own lives. And points out all the headlines, you know them, and all the ways that people of color are often seen as threats and how that threatens their own lives. So I began to think about where it was that I learned that people of color were threats. And now remember, this is exactly what happened in my head. Well, I grew up in Southern California. It was diverse. We had people from all over the world there, all colors, all shades of colors. And I learned how to see people of color as threats, whether they were Black or Hispanic or Asian or any other Native American. And it wasn't that, and so then I thought, it wasn't that, people sat me down and said, here's how you can tell who's a threat and who's not. Because, my friends, I wasn't threatened by my friends. And then I realized, but actually they did. There was in place, this was the 80s primarily, ways to teach people who to know was a threat. And those ways came in the news. They came in my life experiences. They came in government policies. They came in TV shows. There were 100 million messages that I received every day that told me that Black people, that Hispanic people were all somehow less than me and were dangerous. And even though my friends that were Hispanic, that were people of color, Black people, Asian people, they were just people like me. There was still this overarching narrative that told me as a white woman, especially, that I needed to be afraid of people. And that really, in the hour or so since I watched that video this morning as I was waiting for coffee to be ready, I've been really thinking about that and how I've worked to undo that, and yet it's so deep that, I don't know, it was about a year or so ago, Here in Wisconsin, where I'm not surrounded by people of color, there's a much smaller percentage of people of color here in La Crosse. So when I went to the local Starbucks and there was a Black man walking out, I didn't just say thank you for holding the door. I was like, well, that's weird that he's here. Right? So there is lots and lots of work to be done, even for those of us who consider ourselves fairly anti-racist more than racist. There's still ways that we have to continue to undo the systems that were put into place that taught us about how white people were somehow higher up on the hierarchy. Not that anybody actually said those words to me. So I really encourage you to watch this short video. It is excellent, one of the best TED Talks I've ever seen. And allow yourself to ponder what he has to say and how we can continue to work for racial equity here in our country, and we can continue to work in ourselves to be more anti-racist so that we can show God's love to the whole world. There will be a link, if there's not already, on our Facebook page where you can get that. But if you just go to YouTube and search for how to deconstruct racism one headline at a time and look for the TED Talk, because there's a couple of videos with that title, you will find Baratunde Thurston's TED Talk. Tonight we have a Q&A with our COVID advisory panel. I hope you plan on joining us. Until then, be well, be kind. Christ is with you.